Hello and welcome to another battle report for Operation Edgelord. A bit of narrative to set the scene. An anonymous PanOceanian business executive has purchased the asteroid 1777 DU Epsilon, codename Dewey. Nomads have reasonable suspicion that this may be a cover or a front operation for the EI to establish an operating base within the human sphere. Islam and Ariadna have similar musings, and we are scrambling all available forces to collect as many bit creds that we used to trace where the large sum of money originated from in the purchase of Dewey. This may provide the evidence needed to demonstrate the hidden agenda of the alien forces. All tech coffins and computer consoles are targets, which are numerous across the asteroid system. Tunguska interventors have provided information of where they have stored the bit creds used in the transfer of the sale, yet this information may have been intercepted by PanOceanian and Aleph forces, possibly to cover up the transaction and deny EI involvement. So the mission matchup between Nomads and PanOceania for September is Bidding War. The mission objectives are to control as many bit cred tokens as possible at the end of the game. There are no classifieds for this mission. Bidding War is a mission specifically designed to push the narrative forward. So my opponent and I discuss at length how to deploy the bit creds according to the mission. We both separately came to the same conclusion that a player could place all bit creds in the tech coffin in their deployment zone. Sorry, the one on the edge of their deployment zone. Given how the game is structured, with only interacting with the farthest tech coffin in the round 1, and then in round 2 the farthest and the central tech coffins, and all tech coffins in round 3 are available, the game could end up being a capture and protect style of gameplay. We understand the intent of the game developers by making it interesting to hide one's bit creds in the chosen tech coffin, but they would be known to both players anyway, as they have to be revealed when you place the bit creds on the tech coffins. So it would make logical sense to allocate all 5 bit creds to the closest tech coffin and fight it out in a capture and protect mission, with both sides having the chance to score 5 objective points, concluding the game in a draw. In round 1, just keep your opponent moving towards your tech coffin, same for round 2, but moving one's own army forwards, and in round 3, keep the opponent away while extracting all bit creds. To make the game fair and accessible, we both agreed that each tech coffin has 2 bit creds allocated to it. This would encourage both players to fight over all tech coffins while being restricted to the rules for tech coffins each round. This would mean during round 1, if possible, each player would strive to reach the farthest tech coffin. Failing to achieve that, in round 2, it would open for more play against the center tech coffins, with round 3 giving players the opportunity to score an easy 2 bit creds by extracting the closest tech coffin. By allocating bit creds to all tech coffins, this makes them neutral and important. Both players must simultaneously prevent the opponent from achieving their goals while attempting to extract as many bit creds as possible. This is what we decided to do for this mission. Let me know what you think. So these rules that I discussed in my previous video, which I thought would be just specific to the August missions, are actually permanent features of the BAM's mechanics and not a monthly change. This was clarified in the latest Diceabide video about Operation Edgelord. So for September 2024, every faction and sectorial can include a chain rifle digger for their lists. The digger must fit within the 15 trooper limit. The digger does not cost any points and does not count towards victory points. It can be included in any fireteam, however it breaks a composition bonus. You still have the size bonuses. Every faction and sectorial has the same secret objective this month, which is Predator. This is keeping aligned with the narrative for the campaign of a mixed martial arts tournament being performed by geologists in exoskeleton armor used by diggers for the mining corporations. Here's the game table layout. I decided to add more household items to make the game table denser. The 4 round items are upturned bowls, and the red items are books, used to raise some of the terrain items. The brown square pieces with the stubby looking top have some ladders drawn on them to be more interactive. A house rule we use is that any miniature on top always gains partial cover bonuses. I have included the height of key terrain pieces in inches. And as you can see, there are the 5 tech coffins represented by the fluorescent green objective markers. So here is my list for this mission. I wanted to test a full 5-man core fireteam with evaders. I built a few mobile brigada fireteam lists, but due to their points, I always end up with very little points for aero pieces and midfield control. I thought that if I use the invaders instead, it may give me more points left to build a viable list. I also wanted to test an airborne deployment list. I did come up with one that had about 8 airborne deployment troopers, but in the first turn there's not much on the game table, and that sort of ends up being a waste of a first turn. So I wanted to understand the game mechanic better and how useful it would be to have multiple attack vectors. The Hellcats were there to land within my opponent's deployment zone and cause as much trouble from behind. The Tomcats were more flanking attack pieces and to extract big creds if possible. I included a Salyut Zond to increase the chance of the Hellcats landing where I want. During the game this worked exceptionally well. Here is my opponent's list. 3 Trinitarians for objective work. Robin Hook and the Fugazi drone bot were selected to extend my opponent's repeated network. My opponent wanted to try and use the missile bot and learn how to use the guided missile game mechanic. And now for the game. I won the lieutenant's role. I kept deployment and chose to deploy second. My opponent kept initiative and chose to have the first turn. So here's my deployment zone and the location of my troopers. The plan was to focus mainly around the evader core fire team as the troopers to go and collect all the objectives. Because everyone is a specialist operative, I thought a 5-person team would be enough once to get in the midfield to spread out and use the evaders to capture as many objectives as I can. The 80 troops were there to disrupt and cause havoc in my opponent's deployment zone and provide additional attack vectors from the flanks. The Moran was my only midfield control piece, and he didn't really do much all game. The aim was to extract the bit creds from the left center tech coffin in round 2, and in round 3 the tech coffin closest to my deployment zone, and obviously if there's any opportunities then any of the other ones. And the Moran was to deny the middle center tech coffin with its repeater network, and to provide the Hellcat hacker once on table to spotlight and to oblivion and carbonite anything that was coming my way. And I had one of the Tomcats land on the right side. Well, that was the plan, to go for the right side, and the left side to go for the left side. So military orders, first turn. So I spend a command token and remove 2 regular orders from military orders group 1. My opponent's digger impetuous moves forward to the large wall, and Robin Hook moves up around onto the red building on my left side, ending prone at the top of the stairs. And my digger has line of sight and dodges up to the blue building. The Fugazi drone bot moves out from behind the large wall, climbs up the left red building on the side away from me, ending prone on top. And my Warcore tries to flash pulse but fails. The Teutonic Knight fire team moves with a Teutonic missile launcher as the team leader, and the fire team the majority of the fire team move and stay behind the large wall on the red raised platform, and the Teutonic Knight with missile launcher moves behind partial cover, joining the building with a Fugazi on top. The Harris fire team, consisting of the Knight of Justice and 2 Croziers, moves forwards behind the hollowboard. And Robin Hood attempts to throw a drop bear but fails. And a Trinitarian places a deployable at the base of the stairs, covering the right tech coffin, and recamos afterwards. The Ravenite officer moves down and into partial cover behind the end of the wall, and places a deployable to cover the left tech coffin. The right, which would be my opponent's left. Nomad's first turn. So a couple of orders are spent activating the Evader fire team. and I placed a mine to cover the nearest tech coffin, and the evader Furibak shoots and puts the Tugnite with missile launcher into unconscious. So this took about probably 2 or 3 orders in total to achieve this. So that's the final position where the evaders ended up. So the Salyut Zond activates controlled jump, readying the AD troopers to land on target. I spend a command token and an AD troopers regular order, and all 4 troopers as a coordinated order land on the battlefield. The Clipper Drondbot passes its dodge and turns to face the Hellcat in the top right. And after the game a few days later, upon reflection, I should have brought the AD troopers onto the table individually using their own regular order. Once all have landed, I should have then spent a command token and a regular order to create a coordinated order and move all 4 together into better positions. And that is why we play these games, to learn how to use other mechanics for use later. Something to remember next time, obviously. It probably works when using large numbers of AD troopers, but from what I understand, most players would only include 1 or 2 in a list. The Hellcat in the top right moves out of line of fire of the Dronbot and attempts to oblivion it, and the Clipper Dronbot shoots a missile at close range. And the Clipper Dronbot wins and kills the Hellcat. The Hellcat with Spitfire moves just short of the corner and keeping out of line of fire from the Teutonic Knights, and then slicing the pie, the Hellcat kills the Order Sergeant Hacker. Next, the Hellcat moves to the other side of the building and engages the Black Friar with multi-sniper rifle. The War Corps moves forwards and attempts to discover the camo token near the left tech coffin. The camo marker reveals itself with a flash pulse at the War Corps, and the War Corps is stunned. The Nomads Digger moves down the red area towards the Moran. And for Booty he received movement 8-4, so that's why he could move such large distances in a short amount of orders. And as a digger does this, the Knight of Justice engages the digger and forces him to enter battle ravage state. Military orders round 2. The military orders digger impetuous moves towards the Nomad's digger, and the Nomad digger fails to dodge. The Teutonic Knight with light shotgun impetuous moves towards the Hellcat Spitfire, and the military order digger moves and shoots his chain rifle at the Nomad digger and the Moran. And the Nomad digger dodges and enters engaged state with the enemy digger. And the Moran dies but releases a crazy koala just before he does. The 2 diggers battle it out MMA style. The Nomad digger passes his armor save, and the crazy koala hugs the legs of the military orders digger and explodes, knocking the military orders digger unconscious. The Trinitarian on the right moves towards the right tech coffin, and along the way places another camo token and extracted the bitcoins from the tech coffin. And the Trinitarian moves back up the stairs, only to be killed by my Tomcat with a light flamethrower, and as a result dropping the bit creds. Robin Hook stands up and engages the Tomcat. The Tomcat dies and Robin Hook enters battle ravage state, going prone again to stay safe. The camo marker jumps down from the stairwell of the sniper tower in the center and lands next to the center tech coffin. The Trinitarian reveals itself when extracting the bit creds, then jumps off the side of the building. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, 3 evaders see the Trinitarian jumping over the parapet and all return fire. The Trinitarian is shot to pieces before hitting the ground, scattering the bit creds. The Teutonic Knight with light shotgun moves to engage the Hellcat in the rear of the deployment zone. The Teutonic Knight blasts away with his light shotgun and the Hellcat fires his pistol. And the Teutonic Knight receives 1 wound. And the Clipper drone bot repositions itself to face into the midfield. Nomads round 2. The Nomad Digger moves during the impetuous phase and fires 2 chain rifle shots at the Trinitarian. Okay, sorry, a bit of an editing error there. The Trinitarian places a deployable before dying and the nearby shock mine explodes, and both the Trinitarian and Digger go unconscious. The Evader fireteam moves forwards and discovers the camo marker placed by the Trinitarian, revealing it to be a shock mine. The deactivator fails to work a couple of times, so the Evader with Spitfire decides to shoot the mine, causing it to explode. The fireteam then moves into cover with the Evader with Spitfire engaging a Crozier with Spitfire and puts him into unconscious. So that's the end position for the fireteam. And unfortunately at this point I'm out of orders extracting the Bickreds. The Sulliot Zond moves in front of the Wildcat Lieutenant, trying to reach the tech coffin nearby. And the Clipper drone bot fires a missile and the Sulliot Zond goes unconscious level 2. So military orders, 3rd round. And military orders spend 3 command tokens to move the remaining troopers from Group 2 into Group 1. The Crozier paramedic moves forwards to collect the scattered Bickreds, moves away and goes prone behind some partial cover. Robin Hook, whilst prone, collects the dropped Bickreds and crawls up the stairs to safety. The Ravenite officer moves towards the left tech coffin. And unfortunately the fog of war happens to the Ravenite officer and was not informed that the Trinitarian already extracted the Bickreds, which are now in Robin Hook's possession. The Warcore captures the daring charge of the Ravenite officer and stunning him with his camera flash. The Knight of Justice moves to a better fire position to cover the tech coffin in front of the Nomads deployment zone. The Teutonic Knight finishes his engagement with a Hellcat with a Spitfire and kills him. Nomads final round. So spending a command token, the Warcore joins Group 1. A command token was used to convert the Warcore's irregular order into a regular order. The Evader fireteam extracts some Bickreds and move back to their deployment zone. The Evader with Fuhrbuck dies from a missile from the drone bot. The Evader with boarding shotgun moves to the deployment tech coffin and dies from the Clipper drone bot. The Evader engineer moves to engage the Knight of Justice. Unfortunately, the Knight of Justice passes all his armor saves. And without any more orders, that is the end of the game. And here is a final table photo of where everything is lying dead and collected. Now for the after action review. So here are the results of the game. The number of objective points scored was 2 for Corregidor and 4 for military orders. No classified objectives, so nothing to worry about there. Neither army completed their secret faction objective. So in total, 2 objective points to Corregidor versus military orders 4, which gives military orders the win. Remaining army points 126 for Corregidor and 133 for Nomads. Military orders. So not a good result for Nomads this mission. Hopefully other teams are more successful in collecting Bickreds and locating who purchased Dewey. So some lessons learned for this game, in particular for my army list. So the deactivator. During the game I applied a mimetism -3 modifier to my whip roll. However, afterwards and doing the editing, I reread the rules, and it turns out because it's a technical weapon, even though other weapons sort of for whip rolls do apply ballistic attack range modifiers and like things like mimetism, it's not actually required for the deactivator. It's just a flat whip roll. so that may have changed the outcome. And also, the fireteam bonuses did not apply to technical weapons. That didn't apply in the game, but I was just curious how his deactivator rules work and what happens. So I wasted a couple of orders, I think 2 or 3, trying to use the deactivator to deactivate the mine. And I decided I'd just get the AP Spitfire and shoot at it because it's 5 dice rolls. And it had more success, and I ended up shooting and hitting the mine and deactivating it that way. So maybe in the future it's probably better to shoot mines once they're discovered, not use the deactivator. For the AD troops, I spent the command token to bring them all on individually at once. Sorry, spent a command token to bring them all on at once, and in hindsight and doing the editing of this video, I realised I probably shouldn't have done that. They each have their own regular order which can be brought on individually, and I should probably have done that, and then spent a command token and a regular order to move all 4 at once. That may have been a better use of my orders. The Saliot Zond was great for increasing the odds of combat jump. Hellcats already have combat jump +3, so their fizz of 12 makes it 15, and having the controlled jump support where activated by the Saliot Zond gives it a total of 18, so it's really good odds of rolling dice to bring your combat jump troopers where you want them to. And the Hellcat with Spitfire performed really well. That trooper killed the Order Sergeant Hacker and the Black Friar Sniper, which were probably 2 of the main threats on the board. Obviously the Clipper Drone Bot ended up doing a fair bit of damage later on, but you know, you can't have everything. But I took out 2 of the main threats of my opponent. And the fire team. One thing I learned was to keep troopers closer to each other, and I calculated it's roughly 3 inches apart. The reason why I say this is because I understand there's a lot of talk about spreading your fireteam troopers out so they don't all get chain rifled, or if a guided missile strike happens they don't all get killed. And that makes sense, but in deployment no one's really lighting you up at any way, or spotlighting you, or putting you in the targeted state. And so when you decide to change the fireteam leader to get the benefits, when you once you designate the new trooper as your fireteam leader, you have to do a zone of control check to make sure all your troopers in that fireteam are within zone of control, and one of them was actually outside of it, so I had to make it the middle trooper where everything was in zone of control, and then move them up closer together outside and move them out of the deployment zone, then change to another team leader, which was the Führerbuck, to get the best advantages in combat. And so I sort of wasted an order basically just rearranging the fire team to get them all within zone of control of each other. So next time when I deploy them, I'll make sure they're 3 inches apart. You're probably thinking, why 3 inches apart? Well, if you look at the circular blast template, it's about 2.5 inches in diameter. So you place it over the center of the trooper and you have 2.5 inches radius. So if anything's outside of that, then the other troopers are not going to be hit by guided missiles or any weapon that uses the circular template. Obviously the teardrop template, such as the light flamethrower or the chain rifle, obviously that's a bit different, but for those who are concerned with the circular template, keeping your troopers 3 inches apart will prevent any one of them, or will prevent the one miniature that's targeted taking the hit, but the others will not suffer any damages. And so by doing so, it keeps the full composition when changing teams leaders more efficiently. Whereas instead, as I said, I had to do that initial move with the original team leader just to bring them all in, so then I could switch to the Evader Führerbuck and then push forward with a big gun to go into the midfield and do the assault. So that's some of the things I learned, and it's actually been quite valuable learning this, so I'll take that with me for my next games and missions. So that is the end of the battle report. Please feel free to share your thoughts and observations of the game in the comments below. Also let me know how your battle reports or games within Operation Edgelord itself are going. It's nice to see other community members get involved and contribute to the narrative. It's always interesting when Bromade Academy bring out the statistics and show the objective points and who's doing what and whatnot. So yeah, thank you for watching, and may you have a good day.